Evening, everyone. And it's like we're still without quorum, so wait for a few more commissions to get here while I adjust my camera and lighting as well to make it presentable. 2, uh, it's 7:01, so I'll slowly begin in case another commissioner or two comes in. We can add them and do introductions and things out of order. But welcome. Today is February 4th, 2026. This is the February meeting of Advisory Neighborhood Commission 1C, representing Adams Morgan. We'll begin tonight with call to order, introduction of commissioners. Did anyone else come in? So we'll begin because I see you on the screen right now, Commissioner 1C03, Commissioner Balaki.
Oh,
Just
thank you.
questions.
Yes, District 1C01, we're the southwest corner of District 1C, things like the Hilton, Oyster Adams, and the 18th Street, U Street, Florida intersection commercial district. Glad to be here. Thank you.
I'm Peter Wood. I represent single member District 1C03. It's kind of right in the middle, 18th to 19th, Biltmore to Wyoming. Commissioner, I think Commissioner Diamond's here, right?
Yes.
Great.
Hi, everybody. Maria Louise Diamond, 1CO4, which is Biltmore, Calvert, 18th, 19th, and a little bit of 20th. Hi, everybody.
Scott Olson, 1CO5, the section of Lanier Heights between the Safeway and the rear entrance of the zoo.
Hi, Commissioner Laughlin, the northeast corner of the Adams Morgan community and our ANC, the other side of Lanier from Commissioner Olson.
Hi, everyone. I'm Catherine Swanson Palmer, and I represent 1CO9, which is in between Harris Teeter and H.C. Cook Elementary, and then 16th Street on the other side. And I'm the last one for now.
All right. Thanks, everybody. It looks like, yeah, we definitely have a quorum, so we can proceed. Have a bit of a long agenda. Before I guess we get to the actual agenda, consider improve today's agenda. There are a couple, I think somewhere between a handful, we'll say, of proposed agenda item additions. I'll kind of go over them quickly. Well, not quickly. I'll go over them succinctly. Uh, there are two notices of intent. These all came in like I want to say it's 6.5 days before tonight, so just under the week limit of when we're supposed to give public notice. So that's why we have a section that's proposed late agenda additions, just in case something comes in under that week, so that you can still have public awareness to kind of make it easier. But I recommend, or I'll move to add these. I'll kind of qualify them in a second, but move to add these on the condition that doing so would not be adverse to the neighborhood. Could I get a second for discussion and I'll explain?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner. So the two notices of intent, I'm not really sure if there's kind of like a pattern going on here or if it's just kind of random coincidence, but it seems that there's a couple potentially related, I guess, removal or transition of parking spaces into not parking spaces near some intersections, both relatively close to each other on the 1800 block of California and 1900 block of Calorama. I don't think there is any request for support or anything, but as a courtesy, it's usually nice to have those on the agenda in case anyone wants to comment. And I forget, I can click on it right now, but I forget the specific deadlines for when they're looking for comments. But officially, as the full commission through tonight's meeting is not the only chance, individual residents can also submit comments as well. This is just an opportunity, as we've done in the past, if anyone has comments. And third item that's listed here, a letter in support of the bids proposal to get 18th Street orchestrated for Street Fest, or Porch Fest, excuse me, in two different dates this year. Same exact request that we've done in the past. I would recommend that specific item be put on the consent agenda. If anyone has any issues, just say so. We can change a fourth item. Well, actually, no. There's another one that I didn't list, but I'll mention that in a second, just so we can get through this. Any questions, comments about these proposed additions?
Let me just mention you talked about
Okay.
a deadline for making comments. For the one in my district, it's March 13th.
Okay, so we could potentially come back to this if there's any. I haven't heard anything from any constituents or anything, but we have the March meeting as well for that one. Anything else, commissioners? Okay. There's kind of a lot of explanation for not particularly interesting items. I mean, hopefully Porch Fest is interesting, but it's not a new proposal or request of support that's coming through. Something that we've done quite a few times before. Okay. Motion on the floor is for those agenda items to be made for today's agenda. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, one other, we don't have to do it tonight. I didn't even get time to put it on that proposed section, but there is one person who is hoping to, they're looking for support from the ANC, I think in April and potentially after, to have a couple of like 9 to 11 in the morning yoga events on the Marie Reed soccer fields. And I think they need approval. Just I don't expect it to be loud, but I think it's kind of a bureaucratic necessity for them to do that. We could have it go to a committee if they wanted to speak. We could put it on our consent agenda tonight. I personally don't see it as that. It seems like a nice event, but the support from the ANC doesn't seem like that crucial of an element to make it justify multiple meetings talking about it. But I hadn't raised it with anyone, so I wanted to bring it here in case anyone had any ideas of what we should do. If we should add that for today's agenda, if it's something that anyone thinks is important enough to put on a different meeting's agenda. Anyone have comments on what to do with that? Or any preferences? All right,
Tonight's fine.
I'll just move that we add it to our consent agenda, send support for tonight. And if anyone has problems, we have like 2 months to undo that and say, sorry, we messed up and please don't have this yoga event that was mysteriously disturbing. Like I said, it seems like it's a good event, so hopefully it's something that goes straightforward. Second for the motion to add that to the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Good. Thanks. Just to clarify, let me just get the exact phrasing right here. No, I don't have it open. But yeah, in April, there's I think it's 2 hour block. Just looking to have yoga on the Marids soccer fields. So just looking for ANC support to make it so that they're not violating any rules of community disturbance. I think it would be in the hours that that's not even an issue in terms of like decibels and things. So I thought it was a little bit unexpected that they're requesting that, but it shouldn't be a huge deal, I don't think. All right. All those in favor of adding that item to the consent agenda tonight, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. The person I haven't responded to yet. So if you're here tonight for that item, sorry I haven't responded to you, but I've got good news. We're going to have it on our consent agenda, which is potentially about to pass. So any other suggestions for the agenda items? Any further comments before we finalize tonight's agenda? Any
Wait,
questions?
I just have a
Yeah.
question about the yoga thing. What time is it? It's in the morning?
I'm pretty sure. Let me just double check. I got it through. Let's see. Yoga. Let's see. Right here, it would be proposed use of the field is a 60-minute outdoor yoga class from 9:30 to 10:30 a.m. on April 4th, and potentially like one or two other times after that. But we'll just say if it's the same time. They wrote the other times in a different email. I'd have
Oh,
to.
okay, so that's a Saturday.
Yeah.
On the Marie Reed field.
Yeah, I mean, I think that
Okay.
the request is not, I mean, because DPR has their own process for reserving and things, so I don't think it's a request for us to say they should be able to use the field. I think it's more of a request for, I mean, maybe I think it's related to amplified sound because I think you're gonna have like a microphone so people can hear. Like I said, my personal opinion is that this sort of thing shouldn't even have to come in front of us, but this is the city we live in general, it's nice. There are occasionally bureaucratic absurdities. We'll deal with them, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
No, it seems like it's a good event. I just wanted the time clarification, but that seems fine. It's a reasonable hour.
Agreed. Any other questions, comments, commissioners? Thanks for bearing through all of that, everyone in attendance. All right. Do we add that? I forget. Yeah, we did. So any other questions, comments on tonight's agenda? Any problems with it? Anyone want to remove anything from consent agenda? You have the freedom to request that. All right, tonight's agenda is finalized. Let's move on to the next agenda item, officer reports. I don't think I have anything as a chair report. I mean, things have been snow oriented the last few weeks in the district and Adams Morgan specific. This isn't really chair specific, but just coincidentally, I was walking around today and saw that the heavy machinery was used on Columbia to get a lot of the ice out of the way, so they were closing it. So hopefully those efforts move forward and hopefully some of it melts. But I know that it's been, at least looking at my inbox, there's a lot of people that have been reaching out to me, one CO3 related and just one C related, just because of all that stuff. So you're seeing I'm getting to as many responses as I can. A lot of people have been frustrated, especially as a pedestrian, as a cyclist, as a bus user. It hasn't been the greatest situation. So appreciate everyone's patience. And if you're upset, direct it to us and we'll direct it to the people who are responsible. All right. Next up, Secretary's report. Commissioner Swanson Palmer, all you.
You. No big updates, nothing really that has changed from last month, but we will have office hours tomorrow from 5 to 6 at the line. We have Memory Thursday. Everybody's welcome. And the committee meetings will be on February 18th, I believe, and are on the website calendar last I checked. But any commissioners stop me if I'm getting that wrong, because I know that's a change. Okay.
Sounds right. 4 plus 14. Yeah, that's right. Got it.
Yeah, that's all I got.
All right. Thank you very much. And Treasurer's report, Commissioner Olson.
Thank you. Fairly uneventful news. Our current balance in our bank account is about $26,000. We received our fiscal year 2026 quarter two allotment based on our fiscal year 2025 quarter four financials. So from 2 quarters ago, we've now gone a number of quarters without meaningful problems and so forth. So I think there's no reason to expect that our ability to get our money on time from the city is going to change at all. So I think it still remains with us as the commission to find ways to use our budget effectively. Thank you.
Perfect. That's welcome news, right? Let's see. Next, individual commissioner updates. Yeah, so we'll go how about reverse numerical order. If you chair a committee, go ahead and give any relevant updates that is available as well, and SMDs. So Commissioner Swanson Palmer, back to you.
Thank you. I only have two quick updates. First is that I do want to flag that NOI for Calorama Road, which is on our agenda. The deadline for comments for that one is March 11th. And just flagging that it was originally marked as 1CO8, but it's 1CO9. It's right on the line of Calorama Road, right next to 16th. So for those who care about that, that's the thing. And then oversight hearings are happening, and the DPW oversight hearing is next week on the 12th. So I think maybe signing up to testify has closed, but I have to double check. Does anyone know? Top of their head.
Sure.
But if it hasn't, sign up to talk about all things related to trash collection and the snow too, if that's something you're feeling passionate about. Those are the only two things I have to say. So I'll pass it on to 106, Commissioner Laughlin.
Yeah, so I just want to commend, I know a lot of volunteers were out helping to clear sidewalks, particularly past so people could cross the other side of the street. So thanks to just people who took it upon themselves to do things. I do know that the small park that's in the northeast corner of my SMD, it's a federal property, it's an MPS, so there's really not a lot we can do to get the snow removed there. It's always been this way, unfortunately, and maybe an army of volunteers could help, but I know crossing 16th or crossing over into Mount Pleasant is a little difficult because of that NPS property. And then just a reminder, and if you saw the article in the Post, please don't leave your poop bags out for your dogs. Please don't. If the trash is full, just please take it home. Those poop bags are bait and they feed the rats. So as much as we'd love to think the cold is killing a bunch of them, they really burrow. And if they can take that dog poop with them. They're like living their best life. It's true. And then Commissioner Olson may comment on this. We back and forth. I know there's a lot of frustration for some neighbors on Ontario with some illegal dumping. Unfortunately, this tends to be an issue across our whole ANC. I did report some buildings. There are row homes that are converted into apartment buildings that are on the 1C06 side of Ontario. So this is between Lanier and Columbia Road. Um, I think I reported to they think the landlords are not supplying enough trash cans to the tenants seems to be one of the issues. And it's also an issue that the tenants have to go outside the front and all the way into the alley. So it's also very inconvenient. I'll keep reporting it up, but um, one recommendation, if you're condo owners and you have your trash cans outside, a big recommendation is just finding a way to lock them up or put cameras on them, because there's not a lot of follow through we can do. We can try to get criminal activity against individuals, but the first defense is just making it difficult to even get into your trash can. And that's it.
I'll just tack on my recollection of that particular situation was like these folks were sort of trapped in some sort of crazy bind between DPW and some other
They're getting
agency.
fined by DPW because of the
Right.
illegal dumping. That's not their dumping.
But they was like they couldn't build. DPW was like put a cage on this, but they couldn't
Yeah,
build a cage around it because of something about permitting and how the street was constructed. So they were just like stuck in some
yeah.
endless loop, which is really unfortunate. Yeah. One CO5. I don't have much to report. Uh, there's a vote I've put on the agenda about a resolution about taking a little section of road and asking DDOT if it's possible to use that section of road differently. So when we get there, I'll talk about that. The things I've heard from constituents were about 2920 Ontario, the vacant building there, and about difficulty in parking in general, especially during the zoo season, which will come soon one day when spring comes back. That's all for me.
Okay, some 1CO4 news. As a Chicago girl, I'm loving all this snow. And just to give some context, DPW had 5,311 requests. So just be patient. And I've shoveled out a couple of houses. And if I've seen a lot of neighbors helping neighbors, it's just been really terrific. And shout out Calvert Street, Biltmore Street, neighbors got together, hired a plow for the alley. So I think people are figuring out solutions. And if you are watching this and need some help figuring out solutions, please email your ANC commissioner because we can definitely help out. Um, Nothing else really to report, but I have a question. I don't know if anybody has seen like the huge truck convoy that seems to be currently on 18th Street. Does anybody know anything about that? There's like huge trucks parked where there used to be streeteries. This has been happening. It was like yesterday and today
I missed the first part of that. Where? What location?
on 18th Street.
And
Like where
they aren't just dump trucks waiting to get to
Snow.
snow because they
maybe, but are
yeah.
they going to stay there for like 8 hours?
Because they've been lined up on the little section of Harvard going into Mount Pleasant because they're waiting to get dump loads. They're getting snow to take it to RFK or somewhere else.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. That's all for me.
And just to reiterate that, coincidentally, I was walking on 18th Street, Commissioner Balky and I saw each other. Seconds later, I walked the exact same pace, coincidentally, unexpectedly, as those trucks and saw them go into Columbia where there was machinery and they were dumping it into those. I'm pretty sure, at least for most of them. Because I was also, actually, there were a lot of people taking videos and pictures because they were like, what is this brigade of trucks going 2 miles an hour doing? But seems to be the case. And they closed off Columbia for a lot of that today. So I'm presuming it's related. And if not, maybe it's a DC water project that we're not aware of. All right, so 1CO3, besides, I'll not talk about snow anymore. It's performance oversight season, so I've been soliciting from constituents any thoughts on what this year is a priority to testify or make vocal to different agencies. I'll do my best to get to the things that I think align with kind of the priorities that I put in place to start the year. And there's some good ones that I hadn't thought of as well. So thank you for everyone who has reached out. It's been a few people. So I don't know, I haven't counted, but more than normal, so which is good and also suggests that there is a lot to be concerned with in the city right now. So do our best to advocate for that, whether it's DC specific or DC, Adams Morgan specific or more broadly applicable to DC. That's been really helpful. I mean, like I said, it wasn't going to talk about snow, but it has been frustrating that in one CO3 specifically, there's bike lanes that are covered. There's pedestrian walkways that are covered, there are bus stops that are covered. So it's been hard. Also, I saw that the actual protected bike lane, part of the Columbia bike lane, like the concrete block, I saw at least one of those was torn up. I don't even know how that physically happened, but the DC infrastructure as a result of the past week and a half plus is potentially going to be needed to be addressed in budget oversight season in a few weeks. So we'll see. But I haven't heard anything of the next steps in terms of schedules and things for Colorado Park erosion mitigation project, but I expect it to come soon. They're pretty good about communicating. I think they're just kind of finalizing how things will happen once the ground thaws out. And kind of similar, I was on a meeting. They have monthly meetings for the Taft Bridge. That's not exactly 1CO3, but I've been involved with that project since I don't know, like 2022 or something. They seem to be on schedule. They think that maybe this storm and winter weather will delay them maybe like a week or two, but they're expecting to finish the installation of protection infrastructure on the Taft Bridge, which is Connecticut, by November. So hopefully it sticks to that schedule. It's not the most common that construction projects stick to schedules, and they seem to be doing pretty well so far, though they haven't actually started the installation yet. So we'll see how that goes. But as far as I can remember, that's the main things. Like I said, the next couple months are budget and performance oversight. So continue to reach out if you have things to share for that. We can strategize ways to advocate for the resources we need in Adams Morgan. All right, 1CO1, all you.
Oh, thank you very much. I know we have a lot on the agenda, so I'll be brief. Just wanted to mention it was great to be there with Chairman Wood and Commissioner Diamond when they did the ribbon cutting for the Universal Building residential conversion right before the snowstorm hit. We're headed for 532 residential units. 60 of them will be affordable via the inclusive zoning rules. And while the Walgreens is definitely closed, they say they're going to have 57,000 square feet of commercial space on the first floor. So hopefully we get something new and better in the future. Sorry about that. With regard to the Alcoholic Beverage, Cannabis, and Public Safety Committee meeting coming up in 2 weeks, all I have on the agenda so far is the monthly report from our local police representative. I haven't even seen any placards in the last month. It's been very quiet on that front. So, and one other thing well, two things I wanted to mention. I wanted to give a little shout out to our DC city workers who've been working 12-hour shifts and have been, heroically out there doing a lot of stuff in a very short period of time. I know we have a lot of headaches all over the city, but I mean, we were pleased to sorry, we were pleased to get our two alleys on either side of California plowed the way we were surprised it actually happened. But let me just close with one other thing very briefly. I try to keep an eye on what our federal overseers are doing. And this afternoon, the House passed a resolution that if the Senate does the same thing, and they have it on their agenda for later this week, would overturn something the DC Council did late last year. I won't go into the specifics, but it's called decoupling. And that means that you set up your state or your DC's tax system so it automatically follows the federal system with regard to various numbers like what the personal exemption is. DC decoupled from some things after that omnibus bill was passed last year. What DC is doing, or what the feds are doing, would cause all kinds of problems for DC, and we probably have to delay our DC tax filings, season and rejigger a whole bunch of numbers. So the bottom line is, if you're thinking of doing your DC taxes in the very near future, you probably just want to wait a few weeks and see what happens, because we may have to just overhaul the whole thing. And, just another example of why we need DC statehood. With that, let me turn it back to you, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Let me just interrupt for 30 seconds on this.
Yeah.
I was
Okay.
actually on the Hill today because Free DC organized a group of people to go and sit in on the Senate hearing. And the Senate hearing, the committee hearing on this decoupling lasted 6 minutes. And basically, the Republicans just wanted to be able to control the DC budget. And so we left the meeting, and then people did go and talk to representatives because their vote was later in the afternoon. But it's a really upsetting thing, and it will really throw taxes into chaos. So
Mhm.
we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, on that note, thank you for that. That's definitely helpful, albeit not welcome advice or not a welcome scenario, but helpful advice for what might be another. I mean, I mentioned budget oversight, but it might be very difficult. But I mean, I wonder if it'll affect the budget oversight season last year. It got delayed until like June or something, so we'll see. In any case, let's go to our agenda tonight and continue on. We have Brandon is here tonight to present from Grow DC, Grow, excuse me, Grow Democracy DC, the Civic Education Fund, to give us a brief overview of something that I hope most agree is an exciting development in DC, which is our potentially, not potential now, what is to be our first ranked choice voting elections to be held in the primaries as well as not a primary, but a special election on primary day for that large vacancy on the council. Do we get them promoted? All right, yeah. Brandon's here. So the floor is all yours. Welcome. Good evening. Thanks for being here to go over a bit of how ranked choice voting is and what we should expect in the coming weeks and months.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate y'all very, very much. If I may, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen right quick.
Please do.
Alrighty. All right. Let's get this show on the road. Okay. Y'all can see.
Yeah, we can.
Alrighty.
Very awesome.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Brandon Bush Thompson. I am the engagement coordinator with the Grow Democracy DC Civic Education Fund, and I am currently working on the Rank the District project, which is our education initiative for us to make sure that we are educating everyone about ranked choice voting as it is coming to DC. It is going to be a thing. It is in law. So we want to make sure that everybody is prepared for it. So, just a little bit about how we got here. Of course, in January 2024, the Initiative 83 began to connect signatures so that way we can put RCV and semi-open primaries to the voters of DC. And the DC voters followed through in November of 2024 with 73% of the vote, which made sure that it passed into law. Of course, in July 2025, the DC Council funded ranked choice voting implementation. And so this upcoming June, we will be having it in our elections. So now it's our time to make sure that everyone's educated. So, just on behalf of Grow Democracy DC, we are the leading organization that is educating people about ranked choice voting through our Rank the District project. We want to make sure that people are engaged with what we have going on in regards to ranked choice voting through in-person trainings, virtual trainings like this, community events all across Ward 8. We also want to make sure that candidates understand how to run in ranked choice elections. We do host our candidate trainings every 2 weeks, I think it is. And so we also are trying to make sure that we're working with our local representatives, especially the Board of Education or Board of Elections, my bad, to make sure that elections for ranked choice voting is run smoothly. And then we also want to make sure that we're connecting with the community itself so that way everyone has educational programming and materials that will allow them to go into the poll booths being empowered and feeling comfortable with what's to come. So, to get into the nitty-gritty of it all, we are starting off with three very, very simple to-dos on how to rank your ballot. So, first, you want to rank, as you can see here in our example. You want to rank your favorite in your first column, and then you'll rank your backup choices, and you'll have up to five choices to rank. But we also want to encourage you to rank only the candidates that you support. And then if your first choice comes in last place, then your vote moves down to your next choice. And this will continue to repeat until a candidate wins over 50% of the vote. So, very quick, simple, to the point. So, on what not to do, we want to make sure that we do not choose more than one candidate in each column, as well as in each row. We want to also encourage you to once again rank candidates that you support. We want to make sure that you don't choose more than one candidate. We don't to rank candidates more than once. So once again, one column, one
Row.
row. So keep it very succinct. Make sure that you are voting for the candidates that you support, and that you are ranking according to how you want to rank your candidates. You also want to be sure that you don't skip. It's best to rank in the exact order that you have. So make sure that you are using all of your choices that you are open and available to. Um, and yeah, so with what to do, once again, each choice is in a different column and in a different row. So make sure that you are completing it according to this, so that way your vote represents your choices accurately once the votes are counted. So, according to what we just saw with the previous one with the Wizards, Mystics, Commanders, Nationals, and Capitals, we have a little bit of like tabulation results that we want to kind of show y'all. As you can see, there were 143 votes that were submitted, and we need 72 votes in order for, somebody to win for this election. So as you can see at the very bottom, in the first round of tabulation, the Nationals came in last place. So what you'll see next is that those votes are distributed then to whoever their second choices were. So Commanders received a vote, Mystics received three votes, and the Capitals received one vote. But Capitals are now in the last place of this second round. So that vote will be distributed to whoever their third choice was. And then so on and so forth until we get to the final tabulation and the Commanders win. So I hope that that made sense to everyone. We'll take a little brief time to ask questions a little bit later, but we want to make sure that everyone kind of understands that ranked choice voting allows for people to vote for their values rather than voting their party and things of that nature. It eliminates this kind of worry of voting for the lesser of two evils or splitting your votes. It also promotes positive campaigning and coalition building. Candidates, instead of bashing each other, trying to vie for one person's singular, vote on a ballot, you can advocate to be someone's second choice, which allows for people to once again support each other and build coalitions among campaigns. It also encourages majority support. Winners absolutely must earn more than 50% of the vote, which makes it easier so that way we can hold people accountable, which is something that I see is desperately needed in regards for us to, continue to empower our own communities. So before I keep going and get into anything else, are there any questions that anyone has? Anything that anyone would like to kind of get into?
Yeah,
There's something with TI, but Commissioner Devon, go ahead first.
yeah, I have a question. So, in your scenario, no one got the required votes in the first round, so the Nationals votes were distributed. Then in the
Mhm.
second round, there still weren't enough votes to be a winner. So the Capitals votes, you said their third choice was distributed. Why isn't there, if you voted for the Capitals first, and then they drop out, why is it those voters' third choice that gets distributed instead of their second choice?
So when people first cast their votes, of course, like as we can see here in the results and tabulation, these are how people voted in regards to who their first ranked choice is.
Right.
And so, of course, Nationals come in last place. Five people voted the Nationals in their first ranking. And then, of course, because they came in last place, it goes and is distributed to their next choices. So the Capitals gain a vote, the Mystics gained 3 votes, and then the Commanders also gained a vote.
All right, I got that. So
Yeah.
now in this round, if you voted first for the Capitals and they don't win,
Mhm.
why don't those people their second choice get distributed?
Well, that's exactly what happened. So,
Okay, because you said it was
yeah.
their third choice.
So, well, then I apologize. I don't want to confuse anything. But yes, it is according like how the tabulations will work, it automatically will distribute to whoever your second choice is.
Okay,
And
got
if
it. Thank you.
and if your second choice just so happens to be in last place, then it will keep going until your
Okay.
third or fourth choice until it gets to a particular winner. And in this particular case, like I said, it's the commander. So hopefully that cleared things up just a little.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great, great, great. Any
Yeah.
other questions?
Some from the Q&A. I'll just rephrase to make sure we got that. Your first non-eliminated vote is the one that gets distributed. So it could be third in that case, it could be the second. And this
Right.
is okay. And then kind of one of the questions related to this, correct me if I'm mistaken. The question is, will there be 4 rounds with each position? It's as many rounds as are needed until one candidate has a majority of the votes. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay. And then if one candidate, to kind of relate to that, if one candidate has more than 50% on the round one, does it stop there, correct?
pretty much.
And
Which,
then
that is what it is. But yeah, the idea is that hopefully with this system, it'll allow for, once again, just more majority choice elections rather than split votes and things of that nature. So yeah, that's the whole idea.
And another question, if you want to only vote for one candidate, you can do that. You'd vote for as many or as few up to five, or you rank as many or as few up to five for a candidate
Yes.
position, right?
That is 110% your choice. If you only want to vote for one candidate, that is your choice. We do encourage you to rank more than one candidate, if you are able and willing to. But if you only have one choice and you only support one person in whatever particular race that you are going into, then again, that is your prerogative.
And one last question from Q&A, then we'll get to Commissioner Balke. Every election in DC will have ranked choice voting, or is it going to be just local versus federal? How is that going to kind of work out?
If I may, I'm going to defer that question to my colleague Kenyatta, who is in the chat, if they might be able to hop up. There is a list that I have. It's just going to take me a little bit to pull it up.
Okay.
Um, Let me see.
Do you want us to get to Commissioner Balke's question while we come
Okay,
to that?
Go ahead.
so
Yeah.
delegate for the United States House of Representatives, Mayor of the District of Columbia, Chairman of the Council for the District of Columbia, at-large member of the Council of District Columbia, ward member of the Council of District Columbia, so wards 1, 3, 5, and 6. Um, let's
For
see.
this year's election, right?
Attorney General, United States Senator, United States
Ah,
Representative, national and local party committee members. Um, and yes, so all elections from ANCs to
Hmm.
presidents,
Okay, that's what I thought. Commissioner Balke, thank you for that, Brandon.
of
Uh,
course.
Commissioner Balke.
Thank you very much. This is all very interesting. Spent my life in working for candidates. So I won't sort of go off on that little tangent, but I have some friends who work for the Bipartisan Policy Center, and they recently did a very thorough sort of after action review of how this has been implemented in a number of jurisdictions around the country, and well as talking to some election officials who are getting ready to do this stuff. And they identified a bunch of issues with things like, this costs money, it takes time, you got to educate the public, you got to refigure your sort of administrative structure to do a lot of these things. I'm wondering if you all had any particular reaction to the BPC study, and more specifically, how is this going to work in DC? I've seen press reports where people have expressed skepticism about the ability of DC Board of Elections to pull this off so quickly. So I'm interested in how you've interacted with them and what you think of the BPC if you guys have had a chance to take a look at that. So thanks very much.
Thank you so much for that question. I am going to be 110% honest. I don't know too much about the BPC, so I can't particularly answer that question. But if you want to reach out to us individually through info@growdemocracydc.org, we can see what might be there.
Mhm.
But regards to the Board of Elections, we are trying to work with them in order to train candidates. We are trying to work with them also to educate people in DC. We actually just had some calls recently where the Board of Elections were able to join those presentations as well and kind of, have us backing each other up in regards to educating people about what's going on and how the Board of Elections are going to handle the upcoming election. There are certain things that are still being decided and will be decided in coming months. So I expect that there will be communication distributed for those things. But as far as it goes to reaching people in the public, that is what we're here trying to do right now. And hopefully, with this being one of the first steps, we can encourage you all, as well as whoever else is on the meeting, to continue to spread this information. We're going to continue to work with different ANCs throughout all 8 wards. Um, so that way we can continue to push this as far and as wide as we can so that we can reach as many DC residents and let them know about what's going on. Because, like we said, this is happening, like, regardless of how we all might feel individually about it. I know that there are skepticisms. I know that there are lots of questions, and that is welcome. I think that we should be asking questions. Part of why I'm here is to help answer some questions and hopefully alleviate, um, some anxieties about this. We want to make sure that everyone is comfortable. But yeah, this is something that we're going to be doing together. So again, we want to encourage you to continue to push stuff. If you know people who might not know anything about ranked choice, or if you know organizations that we could potentially connect with so that we can have more of these, please, please, please let me know because we're trying to do as much education as we possibly can. That is all that we're here to do. We don't necessarily want to force people into thinking like, oh, this is the way to go. But we do want to make sure that people know what to do once it comes to getting into the poll booth in on January, or not January, June 16th.
Uh,
I,
Thank you for that. And as just a quick editorial comment,
Yeah,
having done politics for a long time, if people can be confused by something, believe me, they will be confused by something.
right.
And this is not this is not really simple stuff. And you just you can never dumb stuff down too much when you're, this sounds a little crass, but when you're out there talking
Yeah,
to a broad audience, you just can't you can never dumb stuff down too much. And my other
yeah,
concern is not so much here in DC, but you get out there in some of these other jurisdictions. Speaking as a partisan for just a second, we have an administration and a party in power now that lies about a lot of things on a regular basis, including how elections are conducted and who wins elections and why we have elections. So,
yeah.
you're going to be fighting these people tooth and nail every step of the way just because their mission in life is to just screw everything up when it comes to, participatory democracy. So I wish you luck. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we got a dog in this fight, so whatever is going to happen, whatever people got to say, we're here to clear it up and to lay down the narrative that ranked choice voting is can be very complicated in regards to giving the language and making sure that it's relational to people, like people can actually understand it. But I think that we can work together to make sure that we're communicating to people where they are and make it maybe not simple, but understandable. So this is a way of honestly coalition building right here and right now. So, however we can continue to tweak that language, once again, we want to encourage everybody who might have any questions about this to email us at info@growdemocracydc.org. You can reach out to me individually. I'd love to have conversations with people about this stuff. This is helping me very much. My email is brandon@growdemocracydc.org. Again, that's brandon@growdemocracydc.org. So, you know, the little shameless little plug. As I was saying before, make sure that y'all are educating people in your community. Now that we've sat up here and we've had this, conversation, we want to encourage you to have these conversations with other people as well. And if there are questions that you might not know the answer to, like there are questions that I might not know the answer to, it's okay to direct them to resources where they might know. Um, Please share our materials. We have flyers, social media posts. Follow us on social media at Rank the District. Um, so that way we can schedule or attend trainings, different meetings, and community gatherings for us to continue to spread the word. Encourage volunteers. If you want to help us in, sharing the word, please email kenyatta@growdemocracydc.org. Also, connect us with people who might be interested in supporting this initiative. And then once again, let people know about what's going on. Promote this on the Instagrams and on the Facebooks and on all the Twitters and whatnot of the world. So yeah, we're here however y'all need us.
Thank you for all that. And I will just mention this is unrelated to you all, but the Board of Elections has reached out, I presume to every ANC, but they've reached out to us, and we're not at a moment where we have a specific date or venue set up, but we're hoping to find a spot to have an in-person workshop to go over this stuff with anyone who wants to see how it works in person. So more on that if you're an Adams Morgan constituent or just someone who likes being in Adams Morgan. Hopefully in the next coming weeks we'll get that settled. Definitely before June we'll have something decided if we're able to have that event in Adams Morgan. And I presume they're having elsewhere around the city, probably with and without Grow Democracy DC's involvement. I think this is just Board of Elections is doing it, but in any case, just kind of reiterating your point that there are a lot of different education efforts going out, and that was part of kind of the whole battle of getting funding allocated, right? Which is a lot of that funding is
Oh,
just to
Lord.
send out flyers to educate and host events and go to ANC meetings and stuff. So appreciate you being here tonight, Brandon.
Of course, anytime.
All right. On that note, we'll move to the next item on our agenda, another informational presentation, although a completely different subject matter from the Rock and Roll 2026 Rock and Roll Rock and Roll Half Marathon is Diana Romo Thomas. She's presented before. I believe just going to go over the general route and how it affects Adams Morgan for this year's half marathon. Welcome, Diane. Thanks for your patience.
Absolutely, no problem at all. I have presented before. This is the 18th year, if you can believe that, that I have been a part of this and see. Um, so I will be very quick. I can share my screen if you would like.
To you.
I
Yeah.
have just a quick synopsis of the event. I know you guys are very familiar with this event. Let me know if you can see your screen.
Can currently see nothing, so whatever
Okay.
you're doing, yeah.
Nothing?
Still, it's a black screen. I'm not sure what that is. Okay, we can see you now.
See
So,
me, and you can't see my screen.
no, not yet, but it should, I mean, Brand, the previous presenters, it worked for him, so it should be on. If not, we can figure out a way around it.
Let me see if I can go back and share. Well, it would help if I had clicked share, wouldn't it? There you go. So hopefully you can see this in the next few seconds.
Yeah, it looks like it's going now.
Awesome. So let me know when you can see it.
Perfect. We're ready.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. My name is Diane Thomas. A lot of you have probably seen me before. This is probably my 18th year in front of this agency, if you can believe that. talking about this event every year. It's the St. Jude's Rock and Roll coming into DC on Saturday, March 21st. I'm the local rep. I live in Ward 5, so I'm very familiar with this event, been through changes, turns, concerns of ANCs, the whole gamut over the last 18 years. This is the course in its entirety, and I'm going to focus on just ANC 1C. So this is what it looks like for you guys. Again, Saturday, March 21st. It starts at 8 a.m. You will see the half marathoners, which are about 13,000 running in this year's event. Starts down at 14th and Constitution is where it starts, and they're going to wind their way. You're going to see them when they hit mile 8. They'll come out of Rock Creek Park over there by the Omni. They'll go eastbound on Calvert, and as you see by the little course here, they'll come up. I think it's Adams Mill, go down Columbia, and then they'll pick up Harvard and be out of your ANC. No music. We've had music. If you guys remember this, there's been music there at the old Sun. What was it called? The Sun Coast Plaza or the Sun something Plaza. And that's no longer there. So we moved all the music out because there was concerns about the sound that early in the morning. So that's gone. There will be no parking along Columbia. MPD totally controls that. Moving cars. I think in the past, cars have actually existed on the course once they did a sweep. You guys may be more familiar with that than I, since I'm not on the course in the morning. But course signs will go up the Saturday before. So you guys are familiar, kind of remind you it's coming the next Saturday, and the course signs are usually down that same day. The latest of Sunday, they come down. All street closures will be in Waze and Google Maps for those of you trying to get around that morning and trying to navigate around the course, as you saw how big the course is. So you can use that to get going on that Saturday morning, again, March 21st. Course signs will go up. No parking will go up 72 hours before. So to remind you guys to move vehicles if you need to get out and about. We usually get out of the runners are usually clear out of that about 11:30 a.m. That's with cleanup coming, street sweepers and then coming along the tail of the course. And MPD is the ones that will do a rolling openings. So as the runners move through, they will open those streets and intersections along Adams Mill and Columbia Road. That's in a nutshell. I can answer any questions for you guys about the event.
All right, thank you for that. I have one question. I think I know the answer, but I'll just ask anyway. Like 2 years ago, I had suggested a route
Yeah,
modification to prevent all of the traffic inside of that half circle you showed having to go around the city to get to like northwest on Connecticut.
yeah,
You said everyone was interested. You said that it was MPS that was the problem. Are those talks?
yeah.
Is there any hope in the future of that being resuscitated, or what do you think?
Nope, they wouldn't even entertain it.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Okay.
Unfortunately, it was a good idea, and they just
Yeah.
wouldn't entertain it.
Well, we'll see how things go in the future. I'm glad, hope the race
Yeah,
is successful in any case.
yeah, and ideas are good. I mean, that's why we come back every year, because ANC's input has changed this course in previous years. So just so you know, it's not you guys, your concerns and your suggestions are not unheard.
Commissioner Balki.
Oh, thank you. I just wanted to say hello to Ms. Thomas. I was on the commission back in 2022 and gave a rousing little speech about how you guys are actually controlled by a profit-making group, and I'll just refer people back to that. I wanted to ask, I see you've got a connection to St. Jude.
Yes,
Tell me about it.
they're the title sponsor this year.
Okay, that's good.
So there's a big fundraising component for St. Jude's. They're quite
Okay.
active in the event.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
With we got about half of America is going to be obese in about 10 years if present trends continue. So I wish you every success, and I hope some people are inspired by what they see. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you guys.
Sure.
Appreciate that, Commissioner. Any other questions, comments, commissioners? Well, not seeking any support tonight. This is just informational, so I appreciate you being.
Yeah, I mean, we'd love to have your support, but I didn't put it on the agenda for support. So I just want to make sure I present to you guys. Last couple of years, you guys, in previous years, you guys have voted on it, but in the last couple of years, there's been no vote. But maybe I'll stick it next year since I didn't prepare for it this year.
Up to you. But it looks like you're all well prepared for this year's event. So hopefully, I mean, as a runner myself, the weather is the thing that is the
Yeah,
biggest
exactly.
indicators out
Hopefully
of
the
your
snow
control.
won't be here in March.
Yeah. Well, also hopefully it's not like 75, 80 degrees too.
That's
So,
true too. You're very right. Rather have it cool than hot. That's for sure.
well, good luck. Thanks for being here.
Thank
Great
you
to see
guys. Appreciate it.
All right, and now another. Well, we have two more. One's not written on the agenda. Update from if anyone's attending. I'm not sure. Mokers. I think we might have someone. Yeah, there we go. If you're here from the Mayor's Office of Community Relations and Services, sorry, I don't remember who was going to come tonight. please raise your hand. There we go. Yes, I thought, Stephanie. Okay. All right. Welcome. Good evening. How are you doing?
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi. Apologies for unable to turn the camera on.
So,
Yes. Good evening, everyone. This is Stephanie, the Ward 1 liaison moker from the mayor's office. Updates in regarding how the past couple of weeks been going with the snow and all the work that we've been handling throughout the community. I can personally say that I've been going through every street throughout the ward, one by one, just basically flagging. I know I've been in contact with many of the commissioners, plowed or that have been somewhat plowed or it wasn't in the right condition. That's basically been my assignment, just to make sure that we actually even had DPW and the team able to just um, hit and re-hit whichever street that they missed or didn't miss, or currently say that it was plowed. I know many of the residents throughout the city were following the plowing ad. I'm sorry. So I just wanted to make sure I kept everyone up to date in regards to what was currently being touched and not touched. I know that trash collection is right now currently resuming, and we're also hitting the alleys. Um, some of the alleys also have been cleared out as well. I also went throughout today through the ward just to double check and see what hasn't been cleared, to make it easier for the team to go through. And if you have any trash collection that's been missed, because I know the DBW has been working really hard to also just try to get back on schedule. I know they probably missed a few throughout the area, but don't worry, if they didn't get to you, they will get to you. But please leave your cans out in the order and the way that they have already mentioned throughout in the website. All the information is on DPW site, so they can get to you, because they will get to you. But thank you for your patience for the entire week. I know it's been really hard and struggle. Some people have been their streets been clear and some haven't. So I've been in communication. But if you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer anything in case I miss anything. But I'm here to, respond.
all right. Thank you for that. I imagine it's been a busy week for you, so I appreciate you taking the time to be here tonight.
Thank you. Thank you. It has been a busy week, but I'm still pushing, still here.
Commissioners, any questions, comments? I'll
And
just say pretty much all the streets I represent are side streets that haven't been touched. Calorama, Belmont, Mintwood. I've been following the map that tracks the snow plows, and I walked on the street. So if you have a chance, I know a lot of residents have been submitting through 311, but a lot of cars are boxed in from other stuff, but also the street hasn't been. It might be melting tonight too, or this afternoon, I guess. But in any case, I've had a lot of people that have been really upset. The sidewalks is obviously another thing, but I think that's less likely to get addressed before the streets. So just for your awareness, if you haven't heard.
yes, and I want to say thank you to the commissioners that have flagged any street, and also just contacted me in case I probably haven't or have gotten to your street. And even if I did, acknowledge that I reflag everything that you mentioned. I do go ahead and reflag just for awareness in case, because we do have multiple people and contractors, and throughout all 8 wards. And I know we are currently still working really hard with getting every street that we can cleared out. But I do want to say I do appreciate those that have been very patient.
I appreciate your hard work too. I know it's hard when you can't control how iced everything got, and it was really a uniquely difficult storm to manage. So there's been a lot of work.
Yes, it has been it is different. And I know as myself, as a DC resident, not because of, working in the office, but just as a DC resident myself, it's actually been a very different, unique storm. I did see and notice, because I was in the field when everything actually did occur, how everything froze over immediately just from night to day, and temperature droppings, and it moved really quickly. And we've been going with it. I know sometimes the weather, as DPW does say, weather at time it does depend, and it is the it kind of determines how fast and how slower things will be moving. Um, because I don't the weather just froze everything and made everything a little bit more complicated. But yes, we're working on it.
Yeah, no, like I said, appreciate your efforts and thanks for being here tonight. And if anything comes up, we'll let you know. But hopefully you'll get a break the
Yeah,
next few days. Hope maybe the weather will be cooperating. We'll see. It looks like it might get cold again, so who knows what that means for the conditions, but hoping for the best.
yes, it is. But please feel free to either contact me directly through via email or text message, phone call. Um, because I've been getting a little bit of everything. But please continue to flag anything just to make sure I am catching it. I don't want to miss anybody's streets but I'm here to assist. And I'm actually in the field. And if you do flag, for example, I know many, it's not on the Adams Morgan side, but more on the 1B area of the Belmont Street. I know that's been flagged a couple of times. We've been going on to it and has been hitting it. But I just want to make sure that you have the possibility and ability to just continue to, reach out to me so that way I can make sure that we're getting to your streets
Perfect. Thank you so
in real life. Like I'm not real life, I'm sorry, in real
much.
time. Because I report the in real time reports,
Yeah,
not just weekly and daily.
that's good. Well, appreciate it again. Hope you have a nice evening. Talk to you again later.
Thank you.
All right, and now from this is not well, kind of I guess a transition into public comments, but we invited someone to come from the Potter's house. They'll be next, and we'll go to hands after that. So I believe Fontana's here. Yeah. So welcome. Obviously, I think obviously not the best of circumstances to have you here, but thank you for coming tonight. And I won't give too much an introduction. You can do it yourself. But going through some hard times with Potter's House, which is an institution that has a storied, I guess, connection to ANC 1C in the general neighborhood. So thanks for being here and really any information that you can share with us just so we can know what's going on and if any opportunities for support going forward exist, what those might be. How are you doing?
Hi. Yes, I'm very happy to be here. Obviously, of course, I wish I was here under better circumstances. But I was very appreciative that you contacted me to be able to speak just about the closure for anybody who didn't know already. But to first introduce myself, my name's Fontana. I was the communications manager at the Potter's House DC. Um, and if anybody was unaware or, had only seen briefly about our closure, the Potter's House is closed indefinitely. The situation was something that kind of came out of nowhere for us as well. So it's been especially difficult for our staff and for all of our community members because we really did not see any of this coming to us at all. So we were definitely surprised, very heartbroken at the situation. But in terms of what is happening at this very moment, the Potter's House board, which I am now a part of, so woohoo. The Potter's House board is now trying to see what kind of pathways they have in order to either reopen, what kind of organization that may be, if it's even possible, or anything like that. So please do not be afraid that the organization has just completely given up. We are looking into every possibility to see if there are any pathways for a future for the organization, and obviously wanting to stick to our mission and be able to provide quality food, books, and events to the community that we have so beautifully created and have been able to steward for so many years. And just to add some more information for everybody out there, I know that our staff, especially our front of house staff, were deeply important to the community. A lot of people knew them, and we knew a lot of our community members. And I just wanted to thank everybody that has sent us a message, offered their support, left a comment, anything that anybody has done to be able to, just let people know that we are very loved and that people really did enjoy the space. I know I am deeply appreciative of it. And I know that all of our staff have been as well. And we are still in regular contact with them. So rest assured, they are seeing your messages. They understand exactly how much the community loved them. And so Again, please do not be afraid that, our staff members are not being able to see anything, any support or any well wishes for them as they're also coming into this period, uh, after not really knowing that this was going to happen. The other component that I just wanted to add is that you are able to contact the Potter's House DC if you were looking to help us in any way, shape, or form, whether that's just, lending us an ear or just wanting to, talk to us more or anything like that. You can email info@pottershousedc.org. That's our general inbox. So myself and all of the board members are able to see that, and we will be able to answer any questions, especially for any of our donors who may have questions or just community members who wanted to reach out. But for the time being, that will be your best resource to be able to contact us. I will also say you can contact us on social media still. I am still logged into the account. It will be a much slower response time, though, just because it's easier for all of the board members to see things through email, whereas with the social media, it's typically just me, and then I have to ask everybody else, and then we can go with a response from there. So I definitely appreciate people leaving comments. We are absolutely reading those. But if you have questions, comments, concerns, please direct them to the email instead so that we can get back to you as soon as possible. I'm here if anybody has any questions or, anything like that. But I just wanted to provide the update to you all and to the large community that yes, the Potter's House is currently closed. The board of directors is looking for options or the way to be able to have a future if possible, and that there is a great team of people who are leading that. And that does include a couple of former staff members. So the hands are still on the wheel. The wheel is just in a car that currently is not starting. But thank you all again. And I hope everybody has a great night.
Oh yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for the analogy as well. That was actually pretty helpful. Commissioners, any questions, comments? There's someone's commented that they donate to the GoFundMe. If you have a link for something, feel free to put it into the chat. Um, any other things that, as a commission, we can kind of keep our eyes out to be supportive going forward, or just kind of waiting to react to what might happen?
Right now, yeah, the board of directors is still doing a lot of things on the back end to see what any of the reorganizations or reopening would look like. That includes financial, administrative, employment and everything like that. So I would just say to stay tuned in terms of any fundraisers or anything you see. Just as a clarification point, any fundraisers, GoFundMe's, or anything like that are made by individuals. They are not sponsored by the organization specifically. So just do your due diligence to look through all of the information provided there, and you can contact the person who is making them if you would like to support that. But in terms of the Potter's House board, we are currently not fundraising. So if you see anything on our website in terms of donate, anything like that, we would advise you not to, just so, we know exactly when people are going to be able to donate. We can do that whenever we are fully able to, rather than
Yeah,
somebody donate and we don't really see it or we're unable to kind of like, fully acknowledge it until then.
that's pretty helpful. Yeah, thank you for that clarification. All right, commissioners, anything else? Anyone in attendance? Thank you, Fontana, for being here tonight. Have a good evening. Hope to see you in better context in the near future, right?
Thank you. You too.
All right, now we'll shift to the rest of public announcements. Please raise your hand if you have any comments. If you're here from uh, an institution that we regularly hear from, we'll get to you first, which looks like those are the only hands at the time being. First, from Councilmember Brandon Doe's office, Eliza Roche Robinson. So, sorry if I got your name wrong. I forget if it's Roche or Roche.
Hi, everyone. Can you guys see me and hear me?
Yeah, we can. How are you doing?
Okay, awesome. And Commissioner, thank you for saying my name correctly. That means a lot.
Yeah.
But I have a few updates for you guys. And if you don't know who I am Eliza Roche Robinson from Councilmember Nadeau's office. And my position is Constituent Services Specialist. So if you ever need any help, please feel free to reach out and I'll put my email in the chat as well. But first and foremost, snow. I know we've already been talking about it in the meeting, but for the council member, she is DPW's oversight chair. So she's in regular contact and collaboration with DPW and the mayor's team. And shout out to Stephanie as well. She's been doing great work and been a great collaborator with us. We do know that the ongoing impacts are plowing, trash, recycling, and food waste. And the plow tracker has been inaccurate, which will be addressed at DPW's oversight hearing. We do know that there are still issues with the alleys, the intersections, and miscollections. So we do encourage you all to call 311. The 311 app doesn't have like a snow section, so please make sure that you are calling 311 and continue to contact our office if you have any concerns, and we'll share these issues directly with DPW. The DPW, as I was saying before, the performance oversight hearing is February 12th. So we do encourage you guys to submit public testimonies. And related to that, performance oversight period. So the oversight season is underway, and we encourage you to testify as you see fit. And you can find the hearing schedule on the DC Council website at dccouncil.gov/hearings. Next is a human rights report. So in January, the council member's office did release a committee report on MPD's cooperation with federal immigration enforcement. This report is calling for rescinding 2 MPD orders and strengthening prohibitions, and also highlights the loss of trust between residents and MPD. The report adopted unanimously by the Public Works and Operations Committee, and this investigation is still ongoing. You can find this report if you are interested in reading it or just finding some more information on the council member's website. Just some quick updates before I go. We are hiring for 3 positions, so another constituent services specialist, as well as a legislative assistant and committee director. The council mes the oh sorry the council member is also having her Brienne on your block. So her office hours is next week, next Wednesday, February 11th, from 9 to 11 a.m. at Sankofa on Georgia Avenue. I'm sorry, I kind of went super quickly, but please let me know if you have any questions.
All right, thank you for all of that, commissioners. Questions, comments, concerns? Well, thank you for being here for tonight. I'll let you go. It was nice to see you, and
Thank you, guys.
good luck in the next weeks, as it could get messy with all of the things we discussed earlier in our meeting. So hopefully it's okay for you.
Thank you.
Talk to you later. Next hand up, Kristen Barden from the Adams Morgan Partnership and Business Improvement District.
Hey, everyone.
Evening,
How's
how
it
you
going? Yeah, I just put a note in the chat right before Eliza Roche left that and I remind my team about this all the time, that a lot of success in life is about managing expectations, right? You want to manage expectations with everyone around you, and so the government never does a good job of managing expectations. So if they set out, like before any snow event, for example, like this is what we think is going to happen, and this is how we're going to address it, and then the public can then manage their expectations based on like what the government says they're going to do. But to like only talk about snow like after it's already here and causing problems, like you've already lost the fight, right? You've already lost the battle because the public has their own expectations and you haven't managed the expectations, right? So anyhow, that would be my feedback to the government in terms of like, how to deal with these large, events like a snow event. It's all about managing expectations. So anyhow, my two cents on that. Upcoming events for Adams Morgan. I first want to talk about Porch Fest, and thank you for including on the agenda this last minute request for a letter of support. The reason for that is on Monday, we're meeting with MESTAG, the Mayor's Special Events Task Group, to request the 2 dates for Spring Porch Fest on May 2nd and Fall Porch Fest, which we hope will be October 3rd, moving it back earlier in the fall like we used to do. So the one change for spring and fall this year is that we're asking them to approve closing 18th Street from Columbia all the way to Florida. So, in the past, we've only closed it to Calorama. And what we're finding is that we have crowds such that it's super crowded in that area and people really can't move around. And it just sort of feels unsafe. So we're hoping that if we expand it down to Florida and add another stage further down, probably close to 18th in California, that will draw more people down the street and not be quite as congested in the 2400 block of 18th. So, and MPD has been almost by default sort of limiting traffic northbound on 18th at Florida anyway. So they're kind of by default have been closing 18th Street north of Florida. So this will just kind of make it official. And then close the side street access to 18th Street as well. So it will be more expensive to do this. It is going to require more resources, more MPD. We'll use the same street closure barriers that we've used in the past. We'll be able to deploy those again. In fact, we'll probably use all of them now because we'll have more places to close the street. So that's great. We have those and we'll use those. Yeah, so that's what we're hoping to do, and it's really about safety. So that's the reason for it. So happy to answer any questions, but thank you for putting it on the agenda. And then so that's Porch Fest. Date nights is coming up. That's going to kick off on February 13th. I know it's a Friday the 13th. Anyway, right before Valentine's Day. For those of you that aren't familiar with date nights, it's a campaign where you sign up, give us your email address, and then we put you in a pool, and you are eligible to win these date night packages. So businesses have donated dinners, and the Line Hotel has provided an overnight stay. There's gifts at Because Science, I think, and Urban Dwell. So anyhow, it'll be really fun, like date night packages that people can win. And we'll either do 2 or 3 drawings, depending on how many packages we get. And we're still collecting that stuff. So I'm not sure how many winners there will be, but it's a fun event to encourage people to come to Adams Morgan and explore. So that's date nights. And then City in Bloom. This is in partnership with the Cherry Blossom Festival, which will be in March. And we're going to be passing out the cherry blossom stickers again, like we've done in the past. But we are going to be doing a cherry blossom decorating contest. In the past, we've done a Valentine's Day decorating contest, and we're going to move that to a cherry blossom decorating contest instead. So in partnership with the Cherry Blossom Festival, and they're doing this in neighborhoods across the city. So we thought we would get on board with that. And that should be really fun. Hopefully the businesses will do some really creative cherry blossom decorating. So that's coming up. Our annual meeting will be March 10th. That's a Tuesday. It'll be a breakfast this time. Last year it was our 20th anniversary, and so we did a reception and a nice event at the Line Hotel. But on March 10th, it'll be a breakfast at Venture X, and our new Call Your Mother Bagels will be catering that breakfast, and so you'll all get a preview of what's coming to Champlain Street. And so that's going to start at 8:30. With gathering and a breakfast, and then we'll move into the meeting around 9:30 excuse me, that morning. And the mayor has said that she would like to come and present at our annual meeting, so she should be there around 10, and then the whole thing should be wrapped up around 11. So the public's welcome to come. We encourage some ANC commissioners to come as well. So that's Tuesday, March 10th. And then the Art Walk. I think you remember this event that we started in 2021. This partners artists with businesses, and they display their artwork in the windows. One of the things we're adding this year is we're allowing artists to also display work inside businesses that can do that where it's appropriate. And then to also have some artist talks in the businesses throughout the month of April. So to really kind of activate the space and to bring in more people and the artists to really talk about their work, and hopefully they can sell some of their artwork as well. So it's a really popular event. We usually have about 20 businesses participating. I think we're up to about 12 so far. Our interns are doing a lot of the recruitment work right now. And so that'll be the whole month of April. And you'll be hearing a lot more about that soon. Yeah, and then right after Art Walk is Porch Fest. So that gets us into the spring.
All right, busy schedule.
Yeah.
Appreciate the details. It looks like Commissioner Balke has a question or comment.
Just wanted to endorse the idea of closing 18th all the way down to Florida. That would be on behalf of California Street, which usually gets just totally jammed with people anyway, even though they won't close the street for us because you've got a Porch Fest participant at 1836 who draws a huge crowd every year. So that would be helpful for us. And also, somebody in the chat mentioned porta potties, and you can never have too many porta potties at an event like this. So
yeah.
let me embrace that as well. Thank you.
Yeah. We had two locations of porta potties last fall, I think. There were some on the edge of Columbia Road, right near Jubilee Plaza. There was a bank of them there, and then there was a bank in Hoffman Alley. With the expansion down to Florida, we'll probably add a third location that will be somewhere down, south of Marie Reed. So there'll probably be 3 locations. Yeah. And also sorry, excuse me, on the maps, we included locations where the porta johns were. But I think we need to do a better job of making sure the public knows where they are. So yeah, and we'll continue to do that.
Commissioner Laughlin.
So I'm just thinking about how this Porch Fest will be a little different than last time because we won't have the streeteries. So will cars not be allowed to park on 18th during the and will cars be towed that are there?
Yeah. Yeah, and we'll put up the no parking signs, the 72 hours before the event. Yeah, so cars will be ticketed and towed if they're parked there that morning. And that'll probably start 10-ish. I'm guessing it takes a couple hours to tow the cars because the street closure starts at noon. And then the event is from 2 to 6. And the street usually reopens around 8. So usually takes a couple hours for cleanup. Yeah, we're also going to get more support from DPW for cleanup this year. We really need it. It was just a lot of work at the end of the day for all of us. Plus, with the expansion down to Florida, it's just going to be a lot more space to clean. So, yeah, so we're already going to go to DPW and ask for additional support from them.
That's great to hear. Sounds like welcome resources, right?
Yeah.
All right. Anything else, commissioners? All right. Well, thank you as always for being here, Kristen.
Sure thing. Yep, happy to do it. All right. Bye.
It looks like we have next on our list of hands up, an anonymous iPhone user. Feel free to introduce yourself if you so feel encouraged. Welcome. Good evening. You're on mute, so if you're speaking, we can't hear you. Hello? And we might have lost them. There's a second hand up that also disappeared, so I'll wait a second to see if either of those come back. And if not, we can move ahead. I'll just be patient for a few seconds. Sometimes the phones get a bit tricky in terms of hitting the right thing depending if you're calling in or if you're on like the Zoom app. All right, well, if we need to, we can always kind of interject with comments just in case they're having technical issues a bit later in the meeting. So we'll move on. Our consent agenda. Any last issues? We kind of discussed this stuff fairly at length. Any last reservations or changes of heart that you want to have something removed from the consent agenda and put it onto the regular agenda? Commissioner Diamond, your hands up.
Yeah, and my computer, I'm having all kinds of problems. That's why I turned my camera off.
Yeah.
So I just want a clarification of the Ontario road situation, um, because it seems like perhaps that should have been discussed at a committee meeting, but since it didn't, if we're supporting this, are we supporting a traffic study to figure out if it should be closed, or we are supporting that the road should be closed?
It's a resolution to ask DDOT to do a traffic study.
Okay, thank you.
Is that, I'm just making sure I'm getting, where's that? It's not
I
on the
think that's on the
consent.
regular agenda.
Okay, just making
Oh,
sure.
okay. Sorry, out of order, my fault.
No, you're good. It's good to be overinformed than underinformed, right? Yeah. Any other? Oh, it looks like we have one of the person who's tried to connect and comment earlier with their hands back up. So we'll try to get them going.
Hi, Peter. Can you hear me?
We're good. How are you doing? I'm guessing this is
Good.
John.
I'm sorry, it's John
Hey,
Anthony.
John.
19th California ANC 1C, Howard's SMD. I guess all I wanted to do was float, and Howard and Peter were on the receiving end of more detailed information on an email during the course of this evening's meeting about 19th Street than anybody should be expected to receive and be happy about it. Anyway, 19th Street's real narrow. I don't know about all the other streets in the neighborhood, but in the course of my living here in 16 years, it's become exacerbated since COVID in terms of choke points, pretzeling, snarls, what have you. And for geek purposes, this evening, I went out with a tape measure and I measured 19th and I measured California, and they're the exact same width. And every street in Washington Heights in our kind of diamond from 18th, 19th, Florida up to Columbia, they're all one way now. And California, Vernon, and Belmont for at least 15, 20 years. And the explosion in package deliveries has brought package delivery trucks onto 19th in a big way. And what I'm really trying to communicate is that those trucks plus the crush of pickup vehicles at Adams have, and the removal or not replacement of a crossing guard who left 5 years ago, have created a really noxious environment. Howard knows what I'm talking about. I'm not communicating all that well at the moment, but I don't know what the ANC can do other than a resolution. But 19th Street shouldn't be two ways. Is a two-way corridor, in my opinion, given that it's the same width that at least one of our neighborhood streets has been one way for 20 years. I don't know how to advance this other than if you could be here at 3:15 to 6 o'clock on at least 2 to 3 days a week, you wouldn't like being here. I don't know if there's corollary for anywhere else in the ANC. I don't think so. I don't know what pickups. I know Marie Reed, there's a shit ton of double parking and whatnot, but it's incredibly wide space and it has um, kind of a median lane. I don't know what HD Cook is like, but I think we would have heard something about it if it were similar. I just nobody's really been advocating for doing anything about it. And Adams, the school, as a partner in our community has completely sucked. So just wanted to float that. Sorry for the rather unpolished delivery.
Sorry, I appreciate the thoughts. I mean, just speaking for myself, this is something that a few of us are aware of, and I mean, with the construction of Adams that happened the last couple of years, definitely been aware of the complications there. I mean, to kind of summarize, of course, we don't write the laws, but we can just recommend to the people that do that they change things, and we can discuss different ways to go forward, if anything. But at least making sure that your commissioners is aware of the situation, because sometimes stuff like that is not obvious unless you live it. And then when you do, it seems very obvious. So, I mean, DDOT's not always the easiest agency to get to do change quickly for things that there's support, but we'll kind of assess and continue to go forward. Commissioner Balky, I don't know if you have any other comments,
Yeah,
but
I was actually going to address this whole topic a little bit later on when we get to this late addition to the agenda about the parking modifications on that block.
yeah.
Because as I read what they want to do, they're going to take out one, maybe two parking spaces on the north side of California, right near the 19th Street intersection to improve visibility, which actually makes a lot of sense. And several years ago, that space in question was actually given to one of those car sharing businesses that later went broke, and there's still like an advertising sign next to it. But it's not like we've never lost this space before. But just going back to the bigger question for a second, DDOT was preparing a traffic study of this whole area in the last quarter of last year, and I have not pestered them to see what they've done because they're all busy shoveling snow apparently, and they should be. But I see this thing we're going to vote on a little later as hopefully a first step towards whatever they're going to do to improve the situation. And I look forward to learning more from them about what they have in mind. I mean, I assume we're going to get a stop sign at 19th and Vernon where the school entrance is now. It was not there before, and it's really kind of changed the dynamics of things down there. But the other thing is, earlier this week we had a really bad situation there, just because of, when you run a snowplow through there and you open up one lane, you've got all the snow on the other side, as everybody knows. And so we basically created a one-way street with two-way traffic. And I mean, in a situation that's not good on a normal day, and I mean, we had parents and teachers and God knows who else out there directing traffic and swearing and yelling at each other. And it was, this is not good. And I really want DDOT, I really hope they can step up and straighten this out. I personally would like to see one way going north from 19th. I think that would solve a lot of problems, but this is in the mill, but the mills of the DC government gods grind slowly. So with that, we'll pick this up again when we get to the item at the end of the agenda, but that's sort of the current state of play. And John and I talk about these things a lot, and I always appreciate his input, and I'm glad you're able to call in tonight.
Thank you, Howard. Thank you, Peter. I'll check out now.
Good hearing from you. Have a good evening. All right, so now we'll go back. Consent agenda. I don't think there are any issues. Anyone have any last thoughts? Consent agenda passes 6-0. All right, I'll get those letters and stuff out as soon as possible, which hopefully will be either tomorrow or next week, depending on how fast I can get through a lot of stuff this week. I have a busy weekend. Next, regular agenda. So we have one item that did come from committee, supported from the alcohol beverage control, or excuse me, I need to change
Cannabis.
it. Yeah, that's a typo. Uh, Cannabis and Public Safety Committee.
Yeah.
You want to introduce this, Commissioner?
Yeah, I'm happy to bring before the commission for the committee for their consideration an amendment to the settlement agreement for the location of the old Tail Up Goat, which is about to become an entity called Rye Bunny. And in a nutshell, we have Matt, who's the attorney for the business, and Dennis James here with the Colorado Citizens Association, and Scott, who represents the district, whose district in which this is located. We had some good conversations a few weeks ago, and everybody negotiated in good faith. And I think we have some pretty simple language. And if we could probably just elevate Matt for a minute so he could talk about it briefly, and if Dennis wants to chime in as well, and then I'll just hand it back to the chair for a vote.
All right. Matt, if you raise your hand, we'll get you. I think we already got you. So in whatever order they appear, looks like we have some comments.
There you go. Yeah.
Hi, commissioners.
We got you.
Is it my turn to talk? It went
Yeah,
for like 6
sorry.
seconds. I wasn't
Thank
sure.
you.
Okay.
I'm
Oh,
sorry. Proceed,
yeah.
please.
Sure.
That's
So,
fine. Go
my
ahead.
name is Matt Menora from the law firm of Mattis, O'Brien, and Sandground, and we're ABC Licensed Counsel for Ride Bunny. It is the same owners as Stand Up Goat, Jill and John. They're just trying a new concept. And as part of that concept, they wanted to be able to use the initial space right out in front there. That's sort of the raised patio behind the small wall for guest waiting and queuing. They can do it now without the amendment to the settlement agreement, but we wanted to do it so they could actually have it incorporated as part of the premises. So they could have people, they could bring water, soda, a cocktail to whomever's waiting outside. There'll be no actual table service. It's just really to be an amenity for people who are waiting to get inside for their table. There'll be no more than 16 people, and the hours will end by 10 p.m. at the very latest. Because, like I said, it's not regular service. It's just to be an amenity for people who are queuing up, waiting for their table to go inside. And like I said, after having great discussions with you folks at the ANC and Dennis James from the KCA, we have some language that removes the restriction on outdoor seating. And now it'll allow us to apply for a summer garden, which is use of private property for outdoor service. Even though, like I said, this won't be for regular service, but that's the way the rule is.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Mr. James, if you're on, go
Yeah,
ahead.
Dennis James here.
All yours.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yes, thank you.
It was an easy. Oh, sorry.
Go
Anyway,
right ahead.
This is Dennis speaking. Yeah, it was, just being simple and logical, and we got to the end in a easy way, and I'm glad that was possible because, we need more quality establishments in the neighborhood.
Thank you for your comments, both of you. Commissioners, any questions, comments? Had some, like I said, came from a committee, so we had some opportunity to discuss this. Relatively simple recommendation. Hopefully, we get more weather than just ice, snow, and burning hot summers so that people actually want to stand outside. So we'll see how that goes. Anyone in attendance have any questions or comments on this item? All right. Well, it came out of committee, so it doesn't need a second. I'll move that we support this and sign the language that was already sent on the amendment to the settlement agreement. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes 6-0. Appreciate you both being here. Get that out as
Thank you
soon
for
as
the
possible.
support.
Thank you for your
Appreciate
patience
it.
tonight. I know it's a long meeting. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, so moving on, that was the only item that came directly from a committee. So we have several that did not. First on the list, request for support of a proposed planned unit development and zoning map amendment at 2384 Champlain Street. Anyone want to introduce this? I forget how this or what path this came to get our attention. For support. I think David might have been the person who was behind this, right? Okay, this is my fault. I should have been better prepared. I will put that off until. Is anyone here for that item? If you're here, please raise your hand. Neil's phone. Is that you, Jeff?
We got a couple
Rose?
people
Okay,
with their hands up.
because it's resolving itself. Here we go. Let's start with the order they're up, I guess. Jeff, welcome. The floor is all yours whenever you're ready to introduce this and your requests for support. And I apologize for doing a very terrible job of introducing this item.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you so much for the opportunity to get on your agenda. I know it's packed tonight, so we really appreciate your time. I'm Jeff Utz with Goulston and Stores. I'm the land use counsel for the applicant here for this PUD and map amendment. And with me today is Neil Maitreya. That's Neil's phone on the square. And then Charles Allen from Taste Warren Architects. That is our team tonight. And Charles, I believe you have a presentation that we can share while we're talking. I can just give a synopsis, hand it over to Neil, and then hand it over to Charles to run through some high-level design elements. But yes, as you mentioned, this is a planned unit development application that was filed September 19th of 2025. It was actually the first PUD filed in all of 2025 in the district. What it request to do is to rezone this property as well from RA2 to RA3, the RA2 zone district to the RA3 zone district. It needs to do that in order to kind of get the scale to enhance the building to modernize and basically bring sufficient units to the site. So it's a small site. It's about 7,500 square feet. There are 32 small units that are on the site now. The project would deliver 44 units to it. So still a very bespoke project for the site. And ultimately, it requires an RA3 PUD to make that happen here. This probably looks familiar to most folks here. It did come to the Planning, Zoning, and Transportation Committee in September of 2024, and then it came to the full ANC for a vote in October of 2024, and we enjoyed your support then, and you did issue a letter in support. It's just so much time has passed that we would love to request the same letter from you all. And I'm happy to give more details on kind of some of the kind of legal attributes of the application. But rather than take up much of your time, I can just wait for questions and turn it over to Neil quickly for an introduction of the applicant team.
Thank you, Jeff. Good evening, commissioners. Thank you so much for letting us present tonight. Wanted to just give you a little bit of background on 2348 Champlain Apartments. The project was first acquired in November of 2019 through the TOBA process, where we were assigned the development rights, specifically with the goal in mind to keep the project affordable. And so we were able to secure preservation funds for the deal in 2019 to keep operating it as affordable, as well as address all life safety codes immediately once we acquired back in 2019. We have been then pursuing the process for development for this project. We actually did look at it as an acquisition rehabilitation project and performed as-builts, but discovered that the project or the building rather being quite old, couldn't meet current and modern accessibility standards as well as green requirements. And so we looked into this redevelopment and worked with Jeff's team, as he alluded to, and came up with this scheme for the 44 units, which really brings enhanced units to the 30 micro units that are currently existing at the property, allows us to really modernize the building, meet all accessibility requirements, and then still reach the highest green standards, as well as keeping the project 100% affordable, which is what we've been doing in tandem with the tenant association, and been working with them throughout this period to push it forward. With that, I can turn it over to Charles to give you some details on the proposed development.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Neil. Not a lot has changed in the design since we were last here, but I'll walk you through as a little bit of a refresher. Here you can see the front facade of the building along Champlain Street. One thing that we wanted to note is part of the PUD, we could go up to 75 feet as sort of baseline, but we're keeping the height at 50 feet. And really, we think that's more in line with the pattern of development along the street, which obviously the exception of the Line Hotel, which you see in the background there, was quite a bit taller. It is a steeply sloping street, and we're putting the entrance to the building on the lower end of the site, and that allows us to take advantage of grade. There we get a little bit more height on that first floor level. We are putting more of the public-facing program of the building along that facade, so that would be the management office, the leasing office, and community rooms. We think that allows for a little bit more friendly interaction with the streetscape there. And it also mitigates some of the privacy concerns with having units directly on the street there. Go to the next slide. The street, as you know, the streetscape there is very narrow, the width of the sidewalk. So we're pushing the entrance into the building a little bit, creating almost like a porch-like experience there. I know it's Porch Fest, so we're looking at as a way to sort of create the idea of a porch there. And creates a little bit more of a gracious entry condition to the building. We are proposing a brick building as the primary material, and partially as an homage to the existing building, which had some nice brick detailing, which we were trying to bring into the new building. But we feel it speaks both to the historic structures along the streetscape, as well as some of the newer contexts that you see in the neighborhood. Also, because of that street width, we can't do like traditional bay projections here, like you might see in a row house neighborhood. So we're creating these metal, almost like shadow box elements on the facade that allows us to have a little bit more of a dynamic read on that facade, but also evoking kind of a modern take on that bay tradition. As Neil mentioned, the project does have a pretty robust sustainability program. We are pursuing Enterprise Green Communities Plus certification, and it will be a net zero building. And that means we'll be doing, really high performing mechanical systems. It will be all electric. And as part of that, we have a large solar array to help generate the on-site energy generation we need here. The majority of the remaining area of the green roof the roof will be a green roof, and that's really to help mitigate our stormwater management issues and to meet our requirements there. And real quickly, just a site plan to get you oriented here, we are proposing 4 parking spaces at the rear. One of those will be an accessible space. The other one will be what we're calling a compact loading space, which is really for deliveries and maintenance of the building, and then the 2 just regular compact spaces here. It's pretty tight back there, so we're fitting as much as we can back there. But with that, I know it's been a long night. I can answer any questions you might have, but I'll leave it there.
Appreciate that.
Conclude the presentation. Thank you.
Commissioners, any questions, comments? I mean, I will just say I should have mentioned this much earlier. We took the time to speak last month, and it was really helpful for you to bring that to my attention and just to go over all of this. So, for transparency, you've all been doing a good job making sure that the community is aware. That you mentioned this is something that this commission supported in the past. I was one of the yes votes. I'm supportive now. Just to reiterate, anything changed since then, or is it mostly the same?
Mostly the same. I think actually close to entirely the same. Maybe there's some evolution here and there and some really, secondary elements, but it's basically the same thing. It's just gone a winding journey to get here. Yep.
Perfect. And as we, I think all know, the climate for doing these types of projects is not ideal. So I know that there's a lot of hurdles that you've had to do just to get back onto our radar, which is why you're here, not because you want to. Not that you don't like us, right? But
always happy to come. Yep.
Any other questions, comments, commissioners? Anyone in attendance? All right. Well, I'll move that we support this. Can I get a second?
Second.
Any last comments, questions, concerns, commissioners? All right. All those in favor of supporting this PUD, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Appreciate it. Get that out as soon as I can. Thanks for being here tonight.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for your time.
Take care.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Bye. Next on our agenda, resolution in favor of a traffic study for Ontario Road Northwest between Clydesdale and Adams Mill. Anyone want to introduce this? Again, I forget where this came from specifically. Commissioner Olson, that you?
Yeah, I'm happy to introduce this. So I had a constituent who did a little bit of exploratory work to look around Lanier Heights and think about areas of the neighborhood that could be used in different ways. This is if you click into that, you can see some pictures and so forth. This is a very short section of road where it's very easy to deviate around it. And that doesn't get much traffic. So there's a question here of, could we be using this area of land for better purpose? So the question that I have here is if, is there a way that this piece of land could be used for something else? Could it be used as a park? So my ask here is that we as a commission ask DDOT to do a traffic study to see if that's even possible and what the limitations are. A constituent stood on the street and asked passersby whether they thought it was a good idea and got a lot of positive feedback. I also got some feedback from folks who live in the adjacent buildings. The concerns are sort of the familiar ones. What effect will this have on parking there? There were some concerns about, is a park a good thing to have next to one's building? There are also some questions about, I think, implicit questions about how would a public process like this work. And in my mind, those are sort of very over the horizon. I don't even know if this sort of thing has happened in the district before to turn asphalt into grass. And I think that would require DDOT and DPR. So I think there's very many steps here. So I'm curious if we can just ask DDOT what even is possible and use that to refine whatever the next step in this whole process would be. So happy to answer questions from other commissioners, or I don't know if we take public questions at the same time now. I leave it up to you, Chair.
Either is fine. Commissioners, any questions, comments? Anyone in attendance have any questions or comments?
I have
Commissioner.
a question.
Oh,
Yeah, I just like, what's the rationale for making a park when there's a huge park, Walter Pierce, like right there? And I understand that residents want sort of amenities on the street, but could you just speak to that of like why turn it into a park as opposed to something else? And I looked at the map a little bit concerned with if you close that, then it prevents, like, what about any emergencies and things like that? So could you just talk to that a little bit?
Yeah, I think your questions about street organization and what does it do with vehicles and so forth. I mean, that's exactly the reason why I'm not a traffic engineer and why I'd like DDOT to have some comment on it. I mean, my optimistic look on this is that maybe there's a way that it works where there's actually a way to improve access to the buildings for the residents. Because right now it's a very narrow street, and if you want to get into the building, there's nowhere to like park a vehicle there. So, I mean, maybe there's a world where you can have a temporary loading and unloading zone that's dedicated for those buildings so that an ambulance can, zoom right up to the front door or something like that. Again, I'm not a traffic engineer, so I don't want to like litigate those things. I'd rather just like see what DDOT has to say and see if it's totally crazy, then it's totally crazy, or if it's totally workable, that's a thing. Yeah, about like should we have another park in the neighborhood? I mean, I think that's an interesting question. For me, I mean, I'd rather have more parkland than street land. Um, I think if we think there's too many parks, then maybe we should be getting rid of some parks, and that's like not a position that I want to hold to. I mean, I think your question is a good one, and why there should be public process as part of it. But I'd rather learn if it's even possible first before trying to go further down those lines. It could be that I don't know how you solicit. I mean, this is again, that's a problem of like public process, but I mean, if the majority of people who live in the neighborhood would like more park, then I would like to have helped them get more park.
thank you for that for both. I'll just add a comment as well, two-layered comment. One specifically with the potential of converting street space to parks. Sometimes, I don't know if it would be applicable here. Sometimes the rationale is traffic calming. I mean, just the quantity of acreage in a specific area isn't necessarily the same benefit as having roadways that are has traffic going too fast to be able to slow that down with some sort of kind of natural barrier. But like the bigger question here, which Commissioner Olson was getting at, which commissions, of course, don't get to directly dictate what happens to any public resource. We can just say, hey, we want this to happen, and sometimes it happens. A lot of times we're ignored. But this is a way to try to get data so that we could continue this conversation and see if DDOT is open to any sort of conversation here. Commissioner Laughlin.
But would it be more than just getting a study from DDOT? Like, so if a little pocket park was there, who would maintain it? And so like so this is so now this spans to multiple agencies, and so I don't know how we get that buy-in, or if they all have to say yes. Like, because I'm just like the maintenance of the park, trash pickup, and then DDOT too. So
It would
it's
have to be, I totally
yeah,
agree. Like it would also, DDOT and DPR would have to do something together.
right.
And that's like,
So
yeah, I want to just hit this like
this
first
could take
milestone of like, is it
15
even
years.
possible?
Yeah, this could take 15. I mean, we're still having, it took forever to get a tiny pocket park over in front of the 7-Eleven, I think, taken over finally by DPR. So
That's fact.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I just like I think data is important to like ask until you're told no. Or ask until you get to an I don't know and then try to figure out the answer. But I'm just more I think I just want to level expectations that it's more than just DDOT. It'll be multiple agencies because it'll need to be maintained, just like how we need Walter Pierce maintained, and we often say that those expectations are not met.
Thank you for that. Any other questions, comments, commissioners? Looks like we have one hand from an attendee. Welcome.
Hi, hi, it's Dennis James again.
Hi.
I'd like to express my complete disdain for this idea, which first was floated in Greater Washington. It's just a little, crazy design by a couple of goofy neighbors who want to make things different. The war against cars is one of the big things. And I think the biggest clear reason not to do it is because right across the street, there's a huge park with children's playground, with memorial to those buried there, with a playing field, with basketball courts, with a dog park. So, and it's to the extent that it can be administered in its current state, it is at least looked after by DPR. Well, there's no building there, and there's no person working at the park per se, and on a regular basis. But to add something else, and this nonsense about, oh well, we asked some people walking by, and you don't know anything about them. Maybe they were all visiting from Budapest. Who knows? They might have been going to the zoo. So it's absurd. The whole thing is ridiculous. It's a perversion of the idea of asking DDOT for a study. Anyway, that's all I've got right now. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And just to clarify, the resolution in question only has one line that says ANC would hypothetically support a traffic study to identify the feasibility of closing part of Ontario. So there's other whereas clauses, but this is a resolution requesting a study, which, if it were to pass, may or may not even happen. Any other questions, comments, attendees, commissioners? All right, so this item did not come from committee, so I'll move to support it. Can I get a second for any further discussion?
I will second it.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any last thoughts? Anyone? And as we kind of stated before, just from past experience, just because we request something doesn't even mean that, I mean, usually the agencies are good at least acknowledging that we sent it and telling us something, but that's not always the case. And also, they don't always give studies. And I have no idea what the likelihood of a study happening or not would be, but we can at least ask and hopefully we can get more data. In the past, they have done studies that have resulted in things like converting streets into one ways from two ways and things like that. So they have been responsive to ANSI once requests, so we can see if this were to pass in a few seconds, what there might be. All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes unanimously. Next on our agenda, discuss budget for tentative candidate forum. So I'll just preface this. I met with a representative of the festival center today. They said they're willing to, I said that we have a budget, but they said no, they're willing to offer the space for free if we want to have an event there. They sent me a form. I said I was going to talk to everyone here first. Tentatively April 8th as a date to try to host it, but I wanted to see everyone's thoughts on the venue and the time and maybe any other details that might be relevant. What does everyone think? If anything. Okay, I see two thumbs up from one person. What else?
Should we just, I mean, that's very kind of them to offer the space for free. I'm just wondering if there's financial, anything financial that we could buy or support. I do think we should definitely invite someone to discuss ranked choice voting and do like a demo or something as people are waiting for the forum. And so like if we would need to help pay for flyers or something for that, I don't know. But like we have money as a commission, so we could probably help with something.
Yeah, that's a good. We could also revisit like a flyer question at a later meeting too, if we were to, or like I guess our March meeting. But we are allowed to spend up to $100 on food. I told them that we would consider and probably do that if we can make it happen. So,
Yeah, I mean, food's always appreciated,
yeah.
like especially if you're rushing in from work or something. But yeah, if we're allowed to buy any food, that would probably be good.
And like the rationale behind the April 8th date, besides availability, is that, let me pull it up here just to make sure that I get it right. The closing date of the 10-day nominating petition challenge period for candidates is March 30th. So this would be when the ballot is set after that period. And also to reiterate, or to, I guess, clarify, this would just be an event for candidates that qualify for the ballot for Ward 1 council members Democratic primary. So no one else, Adams Morgan centric, just those candidates for that specific primary position. Lots of other elections happening. This would not be to address those, and would be also to specifically focus on the kind of public civic minded, I would say secular kind of perspective, because there are some religious groups that are hoping to organize something down the street, but from kind of the perspective of places of worship and faith leaders, I think at somewhere on 16th Street. Any other questions, comments? It seems like it was easy. The festival center is pretty centrally located and ADA accessible, so that's kind of the rationale. They're a nonprofit. One thing that he did mention is that they had one of the candidates hosted a launch party there. So I said, we'll make sure to make it clear that that's in no way related to what we would be doing, that it's a neutral event, that we're just wanting to hear the thoughts of all the candidates. And they're a 501(c)(3), so they said, yeah, they also don't endorse or do anything with candidates. So they're also kind of severed from that, in that sense, from any kind of endorsement type of perspective. All right. Anyone in attendance have last thoughts? So I'll move that. Well, actually, no, there's no motion to do. I don't think we have to do anything right now, but I will, if there's no kind of resistance, it seems like there's not, I'll submit the paperwork that they asked us. It's like a one form, and to see if that moves forward and just communicate with everyone here, just amongst ourselves, and then at our March meeting, if that advances. I know we have at least one backup in case it falls through or for whatever reason this doesn't work, but it looks like there's a good chance that we can have a candidate form in April, so that could be exciting because I don't think there's been one in Adams Morgan in some time, so this could be cool. All right, next item on our agenda. I have too many tabs open. All right. Notice of intent. So we have three similar ones. Actually, before I get to those, how about we talk about the letter of support of the Rodent Abatement and Transparency Act, just to kind of like group things thematically. Commissioner Laughlin, you want to go into this at all?
Yeah, I think we'd sort of discussed like sometimes commissions will do a resolution to support something, but oftentimes just writing a letter of support has the same impact.
Yep.
So I had put together a letter of support for a bill that was introduced, I believe, in the council actually last fall. But it hasn't been, I don't think it's been, I don't know how much other debate has been done with it, but it was introduced by council, like almost the entire council, not all of them. But I know this is sort of spearheaded by council member Janice Lewis George. But it's just a letter of support to create the Rodent Abatement and Transparency RAT Act of 2025. And it's basically the thing I think is really important about it is one to create like a public rodent abatement dashboard. Because right now it's sort of difficult. You can take some 311 data and sort of isolate certain things, but this would be more specific to like rodent abatement. And I think it would give better tools both to ANCs and other stakeholders to sort of um, get better reporting and an understanding of where there's like a cluster of activity or how to prepare. A lot of data science nerds could use the data to even like predict, sort of predict where a next rodent activity could happen. It would create better comprehensive reporting, and then hopefully improve like the interagency coordination as well as more accountability from landowners when between the public and private buildings when there's been a rat issue. It, I think, compared to some other cities where we've heard like they have a rat czar, like New York City does, the district is not there yet. It would be great if we had like a better coordination of this, but I think this is sort of the first step. And I do know for New York City, one of the first things they did is they created a really amazing dashboard with data, and this sort of would mimic that. So I think this any of us who took the rat class with Bobby Corrigan, this would fall right in line with what he would recommend that the district do. And so I think I think it'd be good for us as a commission to just show support for it. And I hope this will pass the council.
Yeah, thank you for all that. This is one of those easy ones where I think it will be hard to find anyone who's against the general premise here. Maybe specific like budget questions, but rats are not popular, right? Any other questions, comments, commissioners, those in attendance? So just to Commissioner Balaki, go ahead.
I just wanted to point out two things in this that I particularly like, and I'm happy to support this. There's reference to enhanced enforcement of private properties that are, sources of rodents. I mean, here in my district, that is like problem number one when we're dealing with rats. I mean, I've met with our local DC rat guy, and he basically went through a list of all the private properties in 1C01 that are generating, rat problems. And there's a lot of them, and he can send them little flyers and threaten them and such, but we're really not going after these people to the extent that we should. The other thing I liked was this line about if they take out a street litter container, they have to tell us. They did that to me back in 2022, and I could never get it replaced, and I could never find out why it was taken. So yeah, let's nail them to the wall. I love this, and I'll vote for it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. Anything else, commissioners? Those in attendance? Yeah, definitely. I'm supportive as well. Hopefully this passes, and maybe this is one of those opportunities where it's an election year and enough people running for enough offices that maybe something can get done on one of the most, I guess, popular issues, which is getting the rats out of the neighborhoods. And DC seems uniquely positioned where the rats are getting worse than a lot of other cities on the East Coast. So hopefully this can be a step in the other direction, right? All right, I'll move for this to support this letter. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Laughlin. Any last thoughts? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes unanimously. All right. Three notices of intent for three different blocks on relatively nearby blocks. I guess everything in Adams Morgan is nearby because it's a dense neighborhood, right? Anyone have any comments? Commissioner Bauca, you said you had something earlier for one of them. Anyone else have any? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I think I kind of went through what I would have been saying now anyway. We do have this one notice of intent for California Street and you're taking out a space or 25 feet. I assume that's like a space and a half. Taking out a parking space right near the intersection of 19th and California, which is actually a good idea because the visibility in that corner is not good. It's too small. We have chronic problems with delivery trucks and with parents waiting to pick up their kids, double parking within the street. I mean, I think this is great, and I hope they give us like a little forest of flex posts in this space so that nobody can park there, because that's really what it's going to take to clear out some of these problems. So I I assume we're not really asked to do anything here. We're just sort of telling the public that we've been informed of this and it's going to happen. So
Yeah, I mean, it would be an opportunity if less likely we thought that it was a terrible idea. We wanted them
yeah,
to reverse course, or more likely we had like subtle tweaks that we thought that should be considered, and this is an opportunity to communicate that kind of at the last minute.
if
But
I get anything from the neighborhood, I'll certainly bring it back. But at this point, it looks pretty straightforward. Thank
all right.
you.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. Anything else, commissioners?
Are we discussing all of the NOIs or just the one we were just talking about?
Whichever. I mean, there's no motion on the floor, so it's just kind of informational. Any comments on any of them?
Okay, great. Well, I'll just take this time to say that the NOI, I think it's 2623. It's for Calrama Road and 16th near the Dorchester, if you guys know where that is.
Yes.
And that's a one-way road. It would remove some of the parking spaces there and create some no stopping or standing space. I think it's for 25 feet.
Yeah.
To make it easier to see pedestrians. It seems like, and I think Commissioner Wood, we talked about this a bit on an email thread. It sort of seems like this is more about making sure folks driving out of the driveway from the Dorchester can see a little bit better. Which is for me, was very hard to imagine without looking at a Google map, like satellite view. So I definitely encourage that. And if you're going to do that, the best place to type in is 1699 or 1600 Calrama Road. But you can also just look for the Dorchester and you'll find it. And I think I said this earlier, but the comment period's open till March 11th.
Yeah. That was my understanding too, is that like I've know people that have lived in the building and have been there in that specific like drop-off space before. Or like Ubers and stuff like that will come through and it's kind of like a curved road where the angle of Calorama makes it so you're looking behind you to try to turn onto the one way. And it just would, I think, be a proposal, from what I'm hoping, is a proposal so that people in that situation driving cars are not running into anybody, pedestrians or otherwise. And it's just a weird angle. So I think they're trying to spot, I'm guessing because we have three of these, trying to spot different potential areas for pedestrian and vehicular crashes and conflicts by removing a couple dozen feet of parking, hopefully be able to do that. All right. Anything else? Yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
just I have a friend who lives in the Dorchester, and I was doing this pickup one day, and it seemed kind of insane to me. I almost wish they would just make the circle different, right? Like if it took you in from 16th and then spat you out on 16th, I mean, it would require the building to do more work, and I don't expect them to do it, but I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm wondering if somewhere in here we can kind of say there's a better way that would come from reconfiguring the street a little bit that would it would save the parking and I think actually make it more intelligible.
Yeah, I agree, though. I think first matter of order is getting them to get their elevators together because it's someone lost their arm and it's really scary and they've had a lot of frustrations. So
Touche, touche.
get them on that. Maybe we can get them on other stuff, but I mean, that's sadly been not a great process. So I guess we'll go one step at a time. But in the meantime, this is I guess, a potential temporary fix to a zone of risk for pedestrians and drivers alike, and cyclists too. All right. Any other questions, comments, commissioners? Anyone here attending? No motion on the floor for any of these items, so that will, let me double check. Am I missing anything? That will do it for tonight. Our longest meeting of the term so far. Maybe it will stay that way. We'll see. But thanks for everyone who attended and stuck with it through the whole thing. And I hope you have a good evening. This meeting is
Thank
adjourned.
you.